They were thousands of miles from Palestine. Why should American college students, how can they learn more about the situation, and what should they do to help fix it? What can they do?
Well, the first thing to start with is to educate themselves about the complexity of the situation, about what's happening in West Bank and Gaza. And to do that, sometimes it might take looking for alternative sources of information, to keep an eye on the news coming from the Holy Land in that area, and after they educate themselves, it would be wonderful if they could educate others about the situation, and possibly write to their representatives and ask them to work harder for peace in the Holy Land.
So is this all a part of Catholic Relief Services peace building movement, or what exactly is Catholic Relief Services trying to do in Palestine?
We do emergency relief work. We work with the United Nations World Food Program and do food distributions. The program is called Food for Work, Food for Training, which means that we give 2 or 3 months food rations in return for so many hours of community work or training that people attend. We also do work with young people. We work with schools. We have a program called Value Building Education that complements the civic education curriculum with co-curricular activities that are implemented in and outside of the school environment. The young people talk about democracy, they talk about social change and justice issues, and they also talk about peace within the Palestinian community, about accepting differences, accepting the other, and about nonviolent principles of conflict resolution.
Tell me about your experience here in the United States. You went on a retreat with high school students from New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's right. This is one of the things that CRS tries to do, to bring people from overseas to the United States to talk about global solidarity issues. The Global Peacemakers Retreat has been happening for several years now, and this was the second time I was attending one of them. We talk about global solidarity issues and empathy and peace building, the dynamics of conflict and violence. And for the past 2 years, we've been taking the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as an example to reflect on some of these issues. We talk about the physical and non-physical dividers in Israeli-Palestinian societies that divide the people, such as the wall, the restrictions on movement and access, the permits, the fear and mistrust and incitement that's in the media or maybe in the school textbooks, on TV, in education, in the families, the narratives that people transfer from one generation to the next, the attitudes, the symbols, the occasions that divide people. And we talk about them as challenges to peace building and challenges to empathy, challenges to understanding and reaching out to the other.
Catholic Relief Services sent you to the United States to help educate other Americans about the situation in Palestine. Do you feel American citizens need to do their job a little bit better and go overseas to help out there?
That would be one way, but I think there's a lot they can do by educating themselves. Once they know more, I think they will see that first of all, they will see the weight that the United States has in solving the conflict in Israel-Palestine. And when they see that, they probably will have an agenda to push their representatives with. The young people in Gaza, they want an end to the closure. They want to be able to move freely in and out. They want goods and commodities to come into Gaza and imports to go out of Gaza, so that there's more jobs for them, there's more jobs for their fathers so they can feed their families, so that they just don't have to suffer that much to get the basic necessities of life and live humanely. And they also want reconciliation in Palestine. They want an end to the internal fighting between Fatah and Hamas. They want a ceasefire with Israel. They want peace talks to continue with Israel. They want a solution. They want change, and they want it soon. So we have to ask ourselves what we can do to help that happen.
At the age of 27, you're very knowledgeable in your field, and you've accomplished a lot. What are you looking to do in the future? What are your hopes for Palestine?
Oh, my hopes for Palestine. As I just said, I want for young people to be able to live decent lives and to have the basic necessities of life that we in the Western world take for granted. Being able to go to school without thinking about the difficulties. Having access to education abroad, or having hope to find employment after university. That's something they don't have. So what they end up doing is mostly volunteering with community-based organizations that CRS partners with, for example, participating in our various activities that might, give them more experience or more knowledge about certain issues, and community service. And in doing so, they hope to develop themselves, enhance their capacities, but also to gain some employment perhaps with a community-based organization, because there aren't really very many opportunities. Unemployment is a big problem. When there aren't very many opportunities, recently, one thing that's always a possibility for young people is to join in one of the security forces, for example. In the past, when they did that, that meant that they found themselves right in the middle of violent conflict. To earn some money for their families, they would join a Fatah security force or a Hamas-affiliated security force. And when the political conflict between the two parties intensified, that meant they had to be part of the fighting in the streets, or that meant that they would be sought out by one party or the other, and they would be kidnapped and sometimes tortured. And when you talk to these young people, you would not believe in some of the stories of what they've been through. So this internal political division is also affecting them very much, and the division is happening right at the heart of young people. It's dividing them at universities. It's affecting the choices of their friends. When we were doing some forums that brought people together in Gaza across socio-political divides, they would say, for example, my friend fell in love with a young woman and wanted to marry her, but her father, for example, supported Fatah, and he was a sympathizer of Hamas. But her father, just because of this political affiliation, didn't let the marriage happen. Or things like, I don't know, when they're in the street and they would say, I would not say hello to a person who would support this political party, for example. Another young person would stand up and say, we can't continue like this. We have to stop this division because it's doing us harm. So,
would you say the people of Palestine are living in fear? Are they now afraid of not only external conflicts but internal conflicts within Palestine?
That's right. We talk to the young people we work with, and one of the most important effects of the internal political conflict in Palestine right now is that young people are not feeling secure. They do not feel secure. They do not feel secure in the streets. They do not feel secure about talking freely about their political opinions. They feel depressed. They do not feel like they have very many outlets.